Is day 1435. 1435 days since Richard was murdered there on Fort Bliss footprint, and we do not have his remains. We know that the FBI, we know that the military absolutely has his remains, and we want his remains. We want them. They have, as I pointed out with Nadal Bayim in the video that I just put up a couple days ago again, because we've had that since the 26th of October 2020. Absolutely, there's no doubt in your mind after you watch that they found Richard, that they knew that he was dead, that they have his remains, and that they kept that a secret from us. It's been a cover-up. And this tampering, this manipulation of the law enforcement community there in Fort Bliss to make this happen, in El Paso to make this happen, is by a group that broke away, a rogue group from the original emergency first responders in Richard's case. And they've been there. And for a good part of the beginning, they just infiltrated to get close to the family, to get information, to intercept information, to see what we knew. And they, just really like, oh, we're your family and we're so, and they try to be very helpful, they say. And then something happened. They started to panic with Nadal Bayim a bit, but they controlled that narrative because of Jesus Eddie Nieto Jr., the supervisory director of the FBI. That we have reported. There's lots of ongoing state and federal cases in this. We have not been just doing live streams for almost 4 years. We have been working very hard, gathering the evidence, investigating and documenting it and filing it with the authorities, be it that they, might not be on the up and up. It doesn't matter. You file it. You file it and file it and file it. Because in this system, people change, positions change, the administrations change. The social climate changes. I mean, we're very different today than what we were in 2020 as far as our thinking in this country. And so you just have to submit it, and keep going and let it fill in all the dots. All of the different evidence fills in the dots. Fills in the, all these little puzzle pieces, and it fills in, and you can see the picture clearly. And so, when we found out that Nick Brown Bell, Nofziger, he led us to believe that he was out of the military. But when we found out that he was active duty military, I think things changed very, very much so. And so we were able to report, and the site, the Facebook site that was impersonating us, and they've been impersonating from the very beginning, because that is a method of intercepting information. If they are impersonating Richard or a family member, other people that have information might contact them, and they can intercept that information and obstruct justice and interfere with the investigation. And so that's why, if you're asking, why are they impersonating? That's why they're impersonating. And they try to then control the narrative. Regular people, the public, want to know what happened in the case. And if they see, an impersonator and not know that it's an impersonator, they're like, oh, well, they wouldn't lie, right? They wouldn't lie. And they are. They're impersonators. Their whole, on the face, they're criminals. On the face, they're liars. And so that's why they've, had to repeat, because they're continuing to interfere. But their interference, what it has done, it has delayed justice. It hasn't stopped justice. It has delayed it, though. And, you know, we could have been already finished with all of this, and known exactly what happened to Richard, made El Paso a better place by following the laws and um, taking the murderers and applying the laws. Um, you know, if we had a prosecutor, that was a legitimate prosecutor, but we don't, right? In El Paso, we don't have a legitimate prosecutor. We have a usurper, Bill Hicks. So, and don't let that discourage you either, because that's under investigation, a lot of investigation. We're working very, very hard behind the scenes. And so the takedown of the another success, and the takedown of another try of the impersonators, to delay justice in our son's case, and to intercept information and to tamper with the information. The site that was impersonating us has been taken down. Okay. And, like Lydia Hart is AKA Leilani Hart. I would say that. I would say, because of the timing, because of, the language, because we do have the communications between Leilani Hart and James Courtney Hart on the long family history of sexual deviance, the incest, the child sexual abuse, and on and on. And so we do have, a foundation to compare the language, right? The style. And so Lydia Hart is, AKA Leilani Hart. Okay. Lydia Smith, sorry, AKA Leilani Hart. So, and they seem to want to change their names. They are very, very good in those cheap fakes. The cheap fakes. They're all about cheap fakes. And so that was a cheap fake site. I called it the Slobby Glob. The Slobby Globs. And now the Slobby Globs, and remember, the Slobby Globs are those that broke away from the original emergency response team. They were part of the original emergency response team, and they broke away. And why? Why would they do that? And, well, I can tell you this. Richard was absolutely filing complaints about the abuse of children. And Leilani Hart's history with her family is all about the abuse of children. And now, she doesn't, she didn't protect her son, right? She didn't protect her son. She didn't protect her family. According to her own words in her own confession that she had notarized, and she spent a lot of time getting it coached into the CID, getting it referred to the FBI. So, according to her own words, they were absolutely sexually abused. So she didn't, and she failed to report it, to stop it, so that they could have a better life. So she didn't protect her sons. And when she thinks so ill will of her sons, to not protect them from constant sexual abuse, as she stated, and then it go into child sex pornography and the sexual assault of a 7-year-old in her master bedroom by members of her household. When she, fails to report that, and then we have corroborating evidence with the communications between her and her husband, James Courtney Hart, who they just recently were divorced. But, this, I don't think you can ever really end it. It's very, very difficult. I don't think you could really ever end it, especially when you have children. And it just makes life very, very confusing and difficult. There's a reason why God hates divorce, because it's just something that you just can't really end. Even if you want to end it, you just can't really end it. And I'm not saying it's not allowed. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that with children, and then if you have grandchildren, and it becomes, there's always a connection. There's always a connection. So, and, she failed to report the wrong direction, the criminal direction, the sexual abuse direction of her family, so that they can, get healthier, mentally, physically, and have a healthier life. And now, she's going after my son. And so the point that I'm trying to make is, she doesn't have any love for children. It doesn't seem that way. The evidence, and I'm not saying that as an emotional mother or anything. I'm saying it as the evidence declares. The evidence proves that there is something very, very cold there. Very empty. It's not like a normal mother. And she did not protect her children for years and years. And now she is, instead of trying to do the right thing and protect him now, she's focusing on my son. Spending a lot of hours on my son. And up to no good with it. Not to try to do anything good, but to try to harm him, even in his death, in his memory. She's trying to harm him. And it just shows you that there is a propensity to do a lot of harm. A lot of harm. And the affidavit that she has, that she wrote, that her confession that she notarized, that was accepted by the FBI, from being referred, was referred and was accepted. And we have those case numbers, okay? And we released that affidavit, and then I think it was taken down because it's so graphic. It's so terrible. It's so terrible that the history has, the family has a history of hurting children, terribly hurting children, violently hurting children. And because they were in possession of child pornography is child torture. And all pornography is child sex trafficking. All pornography is child sex trafficking. So it's a very selfish, and for years, and even now, if you watch too much TV, if you read too much TV or modern psychology books, it it will hypnotize you into being very selfish. And that was one of the reasons why we chose the McGuffey's readers for our children, to teach our children how to read and how to express themselves. Because what you read, what you write, because of course, and you saw that with some of the schoolwork that I put up of Richard's, what you write, you absorb it. And Mary cares for the old blind man. That's the theme for McGuffey's. It's about not being selfish, being selfless, but with strength. If at first you don't succeed, try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. That's, all through McGuffey's. There is this strength in this selflessness and humility. There's a strength in that. And it's so beautiful. And of course, it teaches the mechanics of reading, which I love. So I highly recommend it. And, that's not what is portrayed in the communications between the hearts. And it's a broken heart. It's a broken heart family. And it's a very violent family. A very violent family. And very sex cult, violent family. And this is not me saying it. This is documented from them, from Leilani, from James, from the affidavit confession, from the FBI file that was accepted, right? And to know that Lydia Smith is Leilani Hart, with that same language, with the timing of, think about it, the timing when because it was, came out to be Lydia Smith, that persona, fake account, that fake account came about when we received the notice of death. And everybody rallied around Lydia Smith, right? Everybody, right? She came on, oh, I didn't know. I'm new here, and I didn't know. And then she creates this site, this criminal site, and everybody in the original response team in Richard's case rallies around her, right? Not everyone, but a part of them, a part of the original, this group that's a cover-up group. and she's new, but they're going to rally around that because she knows everything. And all of a sudden, overnight, she knows everything. So she says, I mean, uh, it's so obvious that Lydia Smith is Leilani Hart. And, but she won't say it. And they won't ask the questions about the communications between the Harts, that Dallas Hart is a prime suspect, that Dallas Hart, we have multiple witnesses at this point, that Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. And, they won't talk about that. They won't talk about the evidence of the sexual assault and abuse of children that is connected to the Hart family, historically connected to the Hart family. So, you know, that's huge. And I also want to point out that, because of our connection with El Paso and our, um, almost for, this case being almost 5 years, really, it's almost 5 years because you have to go to the start of the case, which was Richard's whistleblowing, okay, which was before the Walmart mass shooting. And, when you look at this whole time period of, we have gathered a team, a beautiful team, um, that has formed a lot of trust. And so more and more information is coming in, and the latest, and we've gotten even more, is in the affidavit, the confession of Leilani, about the illegal purchasing of weapons. And we were, in we believe that the illegal purchasing of weapons was by James Hart, by James Courtney Hart. Okay, because that's in the affidavit. But the information coming out to us now is that Leilani also purchased weapons. And, this is a big problem because for a long time now, we have been made aware of her fragile mental state. And that's not us. That is a judge. A judge, saying there's something wrong with her mentally and she needs some treatment. And you saw that in the divorce proceedings, the accusations by James Hart, that there's, something that's not right there. And so, if she's on heavy medication, like what's been reported, for mental illnesses, then she cannot buy a weapon. Okay? She cannot buy a weapon. But yet, because of, because she made it very clear that she did buy a weapon. She bought weapons. We have been given the information. She bought a shotgun. She bought a pistol. And she bought that. Now, this is, what I warned yesterday, because we're hearing that she bought that from a soldier named Eric Sade. And, that's very concerning for us from what we know, because he is a gunsmith. He is a gunsmith. And if he is illegally selling her weapons, and we've been just reporting everything. It's just you know, in a perfect world, the CID and the FBI would do their job and the DA's office would do their job, right? Identifying the crime, doing the investigation, identifying the crime and documenting the crime, and then prosecuting the crime, right? They would follow the system. But we have been left to do this because the system is broken. You have a usurper DA and you have an illegal medical examiner, chief medical examiner. So the criminal system is broken, and if at first you don't succeed, try again, right? And the Halliday family, we care about El Paso. We care about the broken uh, criminal system that the people of El Paso are suffering under. We don't want the people in El Paso to suffer under, a broken criminal justice system. We care. And, you can take it from doing a lot of McGuffies, a lot of Bible studies, but we care. And we know that the people that are involved in Richard's case have the propensity to violence, that they're very violent, that they are absolutely capable of murder. Okay? They're absolutely capable of murder. And that's why, you know, these threats with weapons, the harm against children, and the connection to the Walmart mass shooting, is not far-fetched. Matter of fact, it's backed by lots of evidence, and it's all coming out. And for Leilani Hart to have access to buying illegal weapons, and if you're Eric Zaid, you really need to yeah, don't destroy and tamper evidence, okay? And because see, this is what's going on, is the slobby globs, they're attempting to delete any evidence of their criminal association with each other. They are tampering with their social media presence, their social media accounts. I wouldn't say they're totally deleting it. Some of it they're deleting. I guess some of it, they're deleting. But this is tampering with evidence. They're making things worse. See, confession is a cure of souls. And I think that Leilani was on the right track with this confession, and then she went rogue again. And so people are starting to come out because they know. There's a lot of people that know. And, to give such detailed information about the purchase of weapons, that Leilani Hart could not legally purchase a weapon legally because of her mental status, and that she would need to look for someone that is willing to sell her a weapon illegally. And what's so strange is that, why would you sell a weapon to someone that is not mentally capable I mean, especially when you had the Walmart mass shooting, right? Especially when you had the Walmart mass shooting. But that's a failure with the Judge Sam Madrano, because he hasn't, for the public, even conducted a mental health evaluation on Patrick Crusius to put that in the news so people understand. If you're, because we absolutely know that, Patrick Crusius is not even mentally ill. He has a severe mental condition. We know that he's autistic. We know he has other I have the whole list of them, of things that is wrong with him. Why would you want to give someone with a mental illness or severe mental health condition, weapons, guns? Why would you want to sell them that? Right? Because you want the money. See, this is where the selfishness comes in. Instead of saying, no, I'm not going to take that money, because there's a risk, a huge risk of the community being hurt by that. And that's just maturity. That's just maturity. So, and of course, we know that they're having a problem in that area with these 3D printers. 3D printers that don't print out a gun, but they print out parts. They print out parts, and those parts are used to make a semi-automatic, fully automatic when it comes to a weapon. And how do we know that? Because Jaime Esparza, the Attorney General for the Western District, is released information that he is investigating these 3D printers that print these parts that make weapons from semi-automatic to fully automatic. So there is a problem in that area for him to do that. There is a problem. So, that's corroborating evidence. Now, is Richard's case absolutely 100% connected to the Walmart mass shooting? Yes. I can answer that totally honestly. Yes. How? Through 3905 Bliss Avenue. How? Through Danae Katzen, his connection to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. How? Through Bob Moore of El Paso Matters. Which leads me to Bob Moore. Where is Bob Moore when he's desperately trying to get some credibility, because he's so discredited right now? He's just such a sloppy glob, right? A slobby glob of misinformation. And, he's just been so discredited because he is using his talents, and he's using the tools that have been given to him, loads of money, right, to target and attack a family that has a soldier son that's a whistleblower that was murdered on the Fort Bliss footprint. And we're just notified. We were just notified not too long ago. And he just right away went out on the attack. And when did all of these attacks start? You had the whistleblower in Richard's case start January of 2022. And I think it just slowly developed to see if they could control that narrative, if they could keep tampering with the files, sanitize the files. We have confirmation from the CID on a national level that Richard's file was tampered with and sanitized, and of course, um, it's a botched case. And then in January of 2023, when they had the DA's office, when they when they usurped the DA's office, January 2023, that's when they got vile and vicious. Vile and vicious and fake. That's when Bob Moore went all out fake news. All out fake news. Well, he went fake news with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, and then he went fake news with Leilani Hart. The you know they're convicted criminals. They're both criminals, and and I'm just wondering if Rosa Maria has connections with Eric Said also, because she's in Mexico. And we heard, I better not say it. I better not say it. You just have to read between the lines. But, you know, I'm wondering if James Hart, because, in the affidavit, Leilani is saying that her husband bought weapons illegally. So, this is how bad can this get when you're have all this proof of the child sex trafficking? And we do. We do. We don't have it all, but we have enough. And you just have to have enough beyond a reasonable doubt. And Dallas Hart is Richard's platoon leader and the primary suspect in the murder of our son. And our daughter put it right. She said, Richard wouldn't report if he saw people taking drugs. He wouldn't report it. He wouldn't report it if they were doing some other stuff, and inappropriately. He wouldn't report it. But if they were messing with children, Mom, he would report it. He wouldn't tolerate that. And she's absolutely right. That's why we know that this is about child sex trafficking. And absolutely we have, the connection with the Walmart case. We have the connection with the weapons trafficking. And let me explain the Walmart case a little bit better, because it is really confusing to so many. If, Fort Bliss is being accused of crimes against children and weapons trafficking, the authorities are going to come there and they're going to conduct audits. They're going to want to see bank accounts and stuff. And I asked during a meeting with the 15-6, did you look at the bank accounts? And they were all freaking out. If they wanted to look at my bank account, I wouldn't be freaking out. Just don't mess with it, but you can look at it. If we're talking about being accused of these kind of major crimes, of hurting children, trafficking children, sexually abusing children, you'd want your name cleared. I absolutely would want my name cleared. And, there seems to be a double standard, because look at Trump. They, I mean, in 2020, I believe it was maybe 2016, he already had gone through, I think it was 2016, he already had gone through 5 years of being audited by the IRS. 5 years in a row being audited by the IRS. They have gone through his financial statements for years and years. And yet, when it comes to an investigation of the unit, when you have a murdered soldier, because they knew that Richard was murdered, they didn't want to look at people's bank accounts when we had witness testimony that there was extortion going on. Remember, I reported um, our witness that came forward about the extortion going on in the barracks. So, you got extortion, and then now you've got this whole thing with Dallas Hart with the pornography, the child pornography, and um, the crimes against children. Don't you want to look into that? Don't you want to see if there's something shady going on? Selling. You'd have to look for a complete investigation. You absolutely have to look at people's financial statements to see if they all of a sudden got a load of money put in their account, bought some new things all of a sudden, right? So that would just be considered part of a thorough investigation. But that's not what happened. There was absolutely a cover up, and everywhere you looked, there was a cover up. So when you understand that we were told that there were audits going on, if you're criminals, if you're a criminal network, how do you fight these kind of audits? Right? You have to take the narrative off of, you have to, you know, this is just me thinking out loud. You would have to create an emergency that would take all eyes off of you and put it somewhere else, right? And that's the Walmart mass shooting. And that's why there's so many problems with the Walmart mass shooting, because it wasn't well thought out. It was a very quick response, a desperate response. And anybody that reads through Ernest Christopher Grant's many media posts, media stories, absolutely will come to that conclusion. They're so absurd. He is, the media sweetheart, and, I think he's up to no good. Absolutely up to no good. It's kind of like this whole thing with the Biden Trump debate last night. Everybody's like, the king doesn't have clothes on. What do you mean? He hasn't had clothes on, meaning he's been exposed for years. It's not, I mean, all you have to do is pay attention with half your eye, and you can see that he is declining mentally from old age. I mean, you have to understand, he gets taken care of. He gets taken care of. I don't know how big his staff is. And even being so well taken care of, he is in this kind of mental decline. So, it's people don't want to see what is there right in front of our eyes. They're too political. I'm not a big Democrat supporter, but I know that the rightful district attorney for El Paso is Yvonne Rosales, who's a Democrat. I'm you just have to accept reality and the truth of it and not be loyal. It's like thou shalt not create a graven image, right? I'm not going to create a graven image out of the Republican Party or the Democrat Party. I'm just going to tell you this is how it is. She is the rightful district attorney, and she needs to be brought in. And Bill Hicks is a usurper because the evidence shows he's a usurper. And there were audits before the Walmart mass shooting. And the Walmart mass shooting diverted the attention of the audits. And the Walmart mass shooting was totally orchestrated. There's so much proof. You see it with the witnesses. You see it with Glendon Oakley Jr.'s witness statement that is recorded for forever. Forever. What, his words will always remember him. But it was such a huge deal. And there's so much to it, y'all, that will blow you away. You just have to research it a little bit. So absolutely, Richard's case began before the Walmart mass shooting, and then with Danae, the connection with Danae, the connection with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, and then the same group that went after our whistleblower seems to be very connected to the Walmart case. The same group. Yes. The same group. And I believe that there's a lot of overlap between those involved in the cover-up, the murder and the cover-up of Richard, and the Walmart mass shooting. So they very much are connected. And the big connection, if everyone wants to see a blinking neon light, is 3905 Bliss Avenue, 3705 Bliss Avenue. The LDS lawyer. The LDS lawyer. And the timing of the retaliation that we've received, makes it very, very clear. So when you have the big charts around you and you have the timelines around you, you can see things very clearly, the criminal board and all of that, that's right there. You can absolutely see things much more clearly. And so that, the illegal purchasing of weapons, and also Richard's car, the car issue, we're connecting dots with that. And it's like, really? Oh my gosh. So we're getting names. We're going to check those names before we release them to you. And that is really eye-opening. So once we know that they're true, I have to be calm. I have to be very calm until I know that they are confirmed. So let's see if there's. Okay, so this is Friday night, and I just want to say we had a victory today by taking down the Slobby Glob site. Now, is Lydia Smith, doing it again? Absolutely. That's our mode of operation because she doesn't care. She doesn't care about El Paso. She doesn't care about the children. She doesn't care about her own son. What she does care about, it seems, is covering up what happened to Richard. That she cares about. So I think that's called self-preservation. I think that's what that is. So, okay, everyone, thank you so much. I will be back on tomorrow, God willing. Thank you so much. And please share and comment.